weekly dose of politics,
snark, and heavy metal music.
All rise, motherfuckers.
for your hosts, Brandon
And Matt.
I do wrong.
Performer hasn't been provided with a script. As a matter of fact, I have been permitted to choose my own words and discuss my own ideas regarding the choice that we face in the next few weeks. I have spent most of my life as a Democrat. I recently have seen fit to follow another course.
The defense policy of the United States is based on a simple premise. The United States does not start fights. We will never be an aggressor.
As for the peace that we would preserve, I wonder who among us would like to approach the wife or mother whose husband or son has died in South Vietnam and ask them if they think this is a peace that should be maintained indefinitely. There can be no real peace while one American is dying someplace in the world for the rest of us. We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said if we lose that war and in so doing lose this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening. Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. You and I must protect and preserve freedom here, or it will not be passed on to our children, and it will disappear everywhere in the world.
If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves. Regardless of their sincerity, their humanitarian motives, those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course. They knew that governments don't control things. A government can't control the economy without controlling people. And they know when a government sets out to do that, it must use force and coercion to achieve its purpose.
We, the people. We, the people, tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We, the people, are the driver. The government is the car. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are. Our Constitution is a document in which we, the people, tell the government what it is allowed to do.
This administration in Washington has betrayed the working men and women of this country.
I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited. There's a clear cause and effect here that is as neat and predictable as a law of physics. As government expands, liberty contracts.
A recession is when your neighbor loses his job. A depression is when you lose yours. And recovery is when President of the United States loses his.
Someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. The martyrs of history were not fools. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the machine. I am Brandon. Matt will be back in a little bit. And by the way, we're calling the show today the Toothless Happy Fun Time Hour, and I will explain to that, to you here in a little bit. Don't try to adjust your audio. I am talking with a lisp. And don't try and adjust your video because, yes, I'm a bit puffy on one side of my face. You're just going to have to deal with that. And, man, it looks like the audio is loud. Am I coming off really, really, exceptionally loud to you guys? Because the meter is just losing it. I'm watching the meter on one of our multiple screens here. Just let me know if it's a little too loud, but it could be. Well, I guess I'll get right into it. We weren't even going to do the show today, and it's because of my health. I am actually very sick. Not that you guys don't already know that. I'm very sick in other ways, but I'm very, I'm very physically sick. How's that? It started first as about 10 days ago. I had blown out my lower back. You guys seen that? About 14 days. Son of a bitch. It's been, yeah. It was last week. You guys saw that. Oh, I started to get better from that, and over the weekend, I started having a lot of trouble. I started feeling really sick. My face started swelling up, and then all of a sudden, like that, boom, it was dental pain. I'm like, okay, I know what this is. I'll go get some antibiotics. I'll be good. I go in there, and they take a couple looks at me, and they're like, no, you're not going anywhere. So I got IV'd and forced to stay. And they then told me that the infection in my jaw was moving down through my neck, and it was moving up around my eye, and it needed to be addressed right away. So now it went from, and I'm on all sorts of, lovely things right now, but they, I mean, I knew about this. I'm not going to lie, I knew about this, but it went from basically a cosmetic problem to it being a medical issue, to being a legit medical issue. Like they said, if you don't take care of this, it can actually kill you. I'm like, okay, I'm listening. I'm listening now. What do you mean by that? And they're like, well, the infection can do this and it can do that. It can get in your bloodstream. It can cause, it can cause sepsis. It can do a lot of things. You're really bad. And I mean, I knew it was getting to be about that time. And the reason why I sound the way I do right now is because I'm unable to wear my retainer anymore. I had some false teeth in the front. I'm unable to do that anymore. And as you guys know, when you go to talk, especially when you say your S's, it's a little bit easier to do when you have teeth. Well, I can't put mine in, so my apologies for that. But it went on to the next day, I had to get into an emergency dentist. They had to take out 5 of my teeth in one sitting, just wipe out a row. The guy left one tooth. He's like, well, that one didn't look bad. I'm like, okay, it doesn't do anything. There's no teeth under it or around it or next to it. So it's just basically, it's like a side shot of the hillbilly. I'm like, thank you very much. But my white blood cell count is very, very high. And that's indicative of having an infection. But my primary doctor had called me and said they are worried it might be more than that. I need to be retested. They told me what they were thinking. I wasn't very happy about it, but it is what it is. But it's no longer. Basically, what I'm saying is make sure you watch your dental work. If it starts getting out there, take care of it because it can fuck you up. I'm learning that the hard way. I really am. And now I'm going to be thousands of dollars in debt because of it. But it is what it is. But I just want to let everybody know that's why I sound funny and my face is really swollen and stuff like that. Like I said, we weren't even going to do the show today because I am actually feeling just miserable, but the show must go on. And like I said, I'm calling it the Happy Toothless Fun Time Hour. Why? Because I can, and I can make fun of myself if I want to. I have no issue doing that, and you guys have no issue helping, so I don't want to hear it. I'm stalling a little longer because I'm waiting on Matt. But before we even get into what we are going to talk about today, I want to talk about, like I said, we do get some hate mail and stuff like that. And lo and behold, I got some more. And I kept saying Facebook, but it wasn't Facebook. It was actually Twitter. I get it all, from all platforms because I'm the one who basically controls all of our platforms. So I hear a lot of shit. Well, you get used to it. You laugh at people most of the time, and this was no exception. Since I was blocked on Facebook through Facebook and Messenger for 37 wonderful days, it was actually kind of quiet until I went to read all the messages that people were sending me, and then I about lost my mind. Spent about 5-6 hours replying to people from anything from business related stuff to the radio show related and whatever else. Well, excuse me. This French gentleman apparently had a real big chip on his shoulder and did not like the show, and he was cussing about the U.S. No, not really. Okay. This Frenchman was cussing about the U.S. and everything else like that. And he's like, well, I'm really glad that the progressives are in office over there, and I'm really hoping that the cancel culture gets a hold of you guys as well. And I'm like, good luck. They've already tried. We're still here. Go fuck yourself. Goodbye. Well, he kept going and he kept mouthing off and everything else like that. And he just kept going at me. And I was like, yeah, but see, here in America, we know how to fight and we fight back. And that was kind of a dig at the French, and he did not like that. He was very, very angry, and he just kept going on and on and on. He's like, "Oh, you Americans, you don't know. You don't know what a fight is. We know what a fight is, stuff like that." I was like, "No, you know how to sit down and roll over like a good dog." And he just, what? And I was like, how? At this point, I'm just getting agitated with the guy because he just wouldn't shut up. He wouldn't quit bashing us and quit bashing the country and everything else like that. So I started to have a little fun with it. And I was like, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you tell me who the person or who won the first Tour de France? And he goes, he's like, well, yes, I know. I'm French. I know who it was. I'm like, well, can you tell me who it was? Well, it wasn't an American. I'm like, no, it wasn't an American. Not at all. It wasn't an American. But who was it? And he told me the rider's name and stuff like that. It's like, oh, no, you're still wrong. And he's like, no, I'm French. I know what I'm talking about. I'm like, no, you're still wrong. Let me tell you why. It's like, you know who actually won the first Tour de France? Well, why don't you tell me, Mr. American? I'm like, okay, fine. The 7th Panzer Division, bitch. And he's like, what? I was like, the 7th Panzer Division. They won the first Tour de France. You're talking about how the French know how to fight and everything else like that, know how to fight back. And you laid down like a dog and rolled over when the German 7th Panzer Division came in. And I was like, by the way, I'm not just American, I'm also German. And he got really upset. I just kept going. He kept going. He's like, oh, no. And he's getting madder and madder that I brought it up. I'm like, listen, like I brought it up for a reason. And if you would slow down for a minute, I'll tell you why. And he's like, no. And he's like, the progressives are going to ruin, they're going to take your country over and this and that. And I'm like, no, see, like I said, we know how to fight. And we're fighting back, and we're going to continue to fight back, and that's the reason why this radio show is here in the first place. Well, how did he say it? I'm trying to think of how he said it, and I went off on him. I told him, I was like, I'll tell you what. I was like, since you say the Americans don't know how to fight or anything else like that, we don't know how to take care of our own or defend ourselves in any way. Why don't you walk down to that lovely beach where there's thousands upon thousands of crosses and tell them that they don't know how to fight? And that the French do, because they had to fight for the French because the French couldn't do it themselves. And he's like, well, what does that have to do with what we're talking about? I'm like, okay, I'll tell you. See, you're thinking that somebody's going to come over and take over our country, and I don't mean technically, like another country coming over and taking over a country. I'm talking about an ideology like the progressivism. You think that we're just going to stay, roll over, and let them take over our country? Well, you're sorely mistaken. We are going to continue to fight. That is why we're here, at least for this radio show, and we're happy to keep doing it. And since I'm still stalling and waiting on Matt. We'll get into it a little bit more. See, I have a lot of YouTubers that I really appreciate. I really do. I watch their videos, listen to them, and stuff like that. YouTubers and radio show personalities and stuff like that. Here's the problem with that. Here's the problem that I do have with some of these personalities. They get too big for their britches. They believe that since they have thousands of listeners or whatever else like that, and so many subscribers, stuff like that, that they don't need anybody else. That they are who they are, and they are the badasses, and nobody else matters to them. See, I respectfully disagree, and I run things a lot different. See, and you can look. I'll give you permission. Get on, our YouTube and stuff like that, because we really never did start using YouTube. We just kind of streamed to it. We are starting to utilize things a little bit more, but see, we already had thousands of listeners from across the country on multiple platforms. Our analytics are pretty good, so we didn't. But what my point is, don't get too big for your britches. Everybody's in the fight. Just because you have a different way of doing it or something like that. And if somebody approaches you and says, hey, would you come on our program? They're not trying to siphon off your numbers. Don't get too full of yourself. Well, some might be. I'm not going to lie. I had a couple people ask me to get on their show, and I did, actually, because, I'm nice enough to do that. And that's my point, is don't get too big for your britches. Everybody's in the same fight. We might have we might do things in a different way. Some might have more numbers than others. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be cross-promoting and taking care of our own. I personally believe this wholeheartedly, and I don't give a crap if suddenly tomorrow we're on XM radio and we got millions of listeners. If the guy next door starts a podcast and 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road, he's only got like 20 listeners or whatever else like that, and he's like, hey, can you come on my show? Sure. Not a problem. Here, I'll promote since I'm going to be on your show, I'll put your show on my show, and we'll do this. Not a problem with that. I believe every show should be that way. I don't believe in the I'm too big for my britches. I don't need you. You're just, I don't believe in that crap. I never will. And that's where we separate ourselves from a lot of other shows. I hope I'm not losing you guys. Like I said, I'm basically just blowing time. These are things that I've been wanting to say, but I'm blowing time right now because Matt has not made it back yet, and I'm beginning to wonder. I mean, he couldn't have went too far because his pipe is still right here. So he didn't go very far. He'll be back. And no, you're not hallucinating. I'm drinking water out of a can. Yes, I am drinking liquid Death Mountain water, Murder Your Thirst. No, we're not sponsored by them, but hey, I'm trying. So hey, guys, if you see this, we're not asking for like monetary stuff. I mean, you could throw us a couple T-shirts, a couple cases of water every once in a while, and we'll be happy with it. Yeah. Go on, Matt. I mean, I could say plenty of other things, but right now I'm just waiting. And hey, listener Josh, yes, I see you. I wonder where listener Sean's at tonight, because I haven't heard from him in a couple of days, and it's kind of unusual. Because usually he talks to me through Facebook or whatever else, and I have not heard from him. It's kind of bugging me. Do. Yep, wrong button. Not that either. Oh, wonderful things. There's so many things that we could be talking about, and unfortunately, I'm honestly, I've had it up past my. I think that's why they fell out in the first place. Why my teeth fell out in the first place, because I've had it past past my jawline with the whole political climate and the racism thing and everything else like that. But it is what it is, and we have to talk about it. It is kind of mind-boggling how many things nowadays are actually considered to be a racial issue. And apparently now video games are having racial problems because there's too many white characters and white people who are doing the voices of the characters. So we got to have inclusion across the board. Apparently, I don't understand why they're doing that. I mean, I do, but I don't. It's just kind of a weird thing. And I'm trying to look. Probably not going to find what I'm looking for. I am not. Wow, that website is a 404 error now. That's amazing. And Brian, I saw that. Yes, I can say a lot of things. Surprisingly enough, I can actually talk fairly well without teeth. I just get a little lisp, not a big one. And what the? Hold on. They calling me. Okay, people got jokes. They're even getting it on my phone. They're not just on YouTube. They're not on Facebook, stuff like that. Now they got to get on my phone too. Yeah. But I don't know. I keep looking at the headlines and I keep looking at these articles and stuff like that, and I'm in awe of some of the things that are being said and done. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but it's just getting really, really odd and frightening, actually. I mean, let's see. Nope, that wasn't it. I got way too many things I want to mention. Shit. Yeah, Matt needs to get here because I really can't get into the articles or anything else like that until he gets here. Well, and like one of the YouTubers I really appreciate. She's amazing. I have reached out to her for her to be on this show, and she said she would, but I have not gotten an email back, so I'm not holding my breath. But she's nothing short of amazing, and I think everybody should watch her. And I'm talking about Gothics, and one of her last podcast was how to research while avoiding propaganda. I suggest everybody listen to it. There's a lot of good information in it, and she's absolutely spot on. In fact, she is pretty much, I'd say about 99% of the time, just absolutely perfect on what she says. She is not a dum-dum. I saw that, and I'll take the last one out and throw it at you. Oh man, because I'm looking at some of the topics that I wanted to bring up, but like I said, I don't want to really do much until Matt gets here. But since I mentioned her, she also has one called "Get Your Emotions in Check." That one was fantastic as well, and absolutely spot on. She definitely hit the nail on the head when it comes to how people are leading by emotion and not by not by necessarily understanding. She really digs into it. I will not get into that because it's her thing. That was her video, and I believe everybody should get a chance to check her out and listen to her. And I'm still waiting on Matt. So we might just take a break and see if we can draw some time. Oh, somebody said something. Are there any birthing people in here? You're going to have to explain that one, sir, because I'm not sure what you're trying to get at. And, yes, I know there's people that want Mavis shirts, and there's a lot of people that also wanted the I'm too white for the Coca-Cola shirt and everything. But the problem is right now, with all the bad things that are happening, my machine also happened to take a shit. So I am actually down for now. I have unfortunately ordered another machine because it was Well, it was a damned if you do and damned if you don't scenario. I've been putting money back for my dental work, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, and I had to take some of that money to replace a machine, because without the machine, the entire business is gone. There's two machines that run the business the most, and that is the computer and the cutter. And without either one of those, that business shuts down completely. It's Elf and Eve, Ace is kaput, game over. Yes, they're going. Are you way behind, or are you going back and listening to it or something? Yes, video games. Yeah, they're going after video games for their racial theory. Oh, what's this? Sean, what did you do to me? I'm gonna look. You have to be kidding me, right? Dude, this can't be real. This is a joke, right? Sean, seriously, that's a joke. That's not a real thing, right? You're just messing with me. And I'll open the. Nope, it's the new language. Holy shit. Okay, this is before we go to break, I'll go ahead and address this one, because this is interesting. It says, when we talk about birthing people, we're being inclusive, and it's that simple. We use gender neutral language when talking about pregnancy, because it's not just cisgender. No, it's female, not cisgender, you fucking retard. I said dirty, bad things. I'm sorry. It says, because it's not just cisgender women that can get pregnant and give birth. Reproductive freedom is for everybody. I respectfully disagree, but I can tell you right now that some of you probably are ass babies, because it's really kind of hard to give birth to something without a uterus. Just putting that out there. I mean, it's scientifically proven that a guy can't squat and produce one unless, of course, he eats a whole load of Taco Bell. And then I wouldn't be carrying it around and putting diapers on it and petting it, because it's a turd. But apparently these people really believe that that you can make ass babies or wherever else. Okay, Sean, thank you very much for bringing that up. That is frighteningly. I thought he was just being a goof and send me something goofy. I can't believe people actually believe this shit. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the comments. I'm like, really? And back into Facebook jail I go. Sorry. Sean. Yeah, yes, I know, Sean. Did you presume gender, anal conception? Yeah. I just put that on that underneath that thing you sent me. I said ass babies with a bunch of periods. Wow. All right, well, let's see. What do we want to play? I want to play a specific song. Specific, yes. It's really fun trying to talk without teeth. Dun, 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 dun. Nope, that's not it. I had a song in mind. I even wrote it down, and I can't find it in my file. Just because I haven't played them for a while. Okay, I'm going to be right back while I'm waiting on Matt.
Memories from days I never lived. Now the fight sir. But not one of my vassals. Who are you?
I am the machine. What? I'm the machine! Okay!
You are listening to The Machine Radio Show.
Not your daddy's conservative talk radio.
Who the fuck do you think you are?
I'm the machine! Fuck that bitch. This is America! Fuck yeah! Tonight you party with us, yes? Okay! Yeah! Yeah! Ah, skate!
It's time for a random thought from the Machine Radio Show. This is Brandon from the Machine Radio Show. Isn't it odd that you use your driver's license to buy things that would impair your ability to drive? This has been your random thought from the Machine Radio Show. See, I brought up that particular random thought for a reason, because think about how many things you do have to use your driver's license for, which is, getting on flights, driving a vehicle, getting alcohol, cigarettes, going into government buildings, just about anything, security-wise, any aspect of life, you have to have an ID. But the Democrats are wanting you to believe that having an ID is a bad thing, and it's also racist because apparently the inner city poor only of color. We talked about this one week, and I respectfully disagree. And most people do, because most people aren't stupid as to the reason why they don't want ID, because, well, it's real hard to defraud somebody if they have an ID. Mail-in voting, stuff like that, where you don't have to allow signatures and multiple votes and all these good things, because that's the only way that the Democrats are going to stay in power. They know this, and that's what has happened the last election cycle, and everything else. It was rampant with fraud, and we can go about that. We can go about that all night, basically. But I'm still waiting for one of them to create a logical argument, and that includes the people that are against it in government and the people that are against it civilian-wise. Nobody can tell me unequivocally why it would be racist and suppress voting when they're offering to give you a free ID to do it. I'll wait. I've been waiting, actually, since this got brought up, and I've come to the conclusion that they're just in a tizzy, because they know this is going to screw everything that they've had to do to stay in power. Because make no mistake, that's what it's all about. It's about power. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's not about helping the people and everything else like that. They believe that once they get into power, you have to do what they tell you to. They seem to forget this one important fact, that we don't work for them; they work for us, and you have to remind them quite a bit, actually. And when you do, especially like ones like AOC and anybody in the squad, boy, they get really butthurt really quick and say, no, you sit in the cheap seats. They literally say we're above you. She's actually said that, loud and clear, that they are above us, and we're just the cheap seats. Just remember that. Oh. It says, I think it's worse to patronize an entire group like that, and very much insulting. I never would say there are people not smart enough to get an ID card or find a post office. I agree with that, and that's what our argument is. And there's been anything from TikTok videos to articles and YouTube and everything else like that of people going, wait, what'd you just say? We're too stupid to find a post office. We're too stupid to find a government building to get an ID. Yeah, a lot of people are pissed off about that. But they keep pushing it. Why? Because they believe they're better than them, and that's what their whole shtick is, I guess. But there's something else. Let's see. What was I going to bring up? Oh, yes. After listening to Diaper Dan and his, we should call him Diaper Joe, I guess. Diaper Joe and his incessant dribble a little while back about how great the economy's coming and the country's doing great, and it's because of the Democrats. I'm like, no. Your numbers are exactly going the opposite of what you say they are. We can watch that. Most people are smart enough to be able to read and understand this. And not only that, if the economy is going so great under you, if it's doing so well and everything's going, and the happy rays of sunshine and unicorn piss is going on, well, then why is there so many shortages? And I'm talking about shortages from anything from computer chips. There's an ongoing shortage in computer chips, which has, everything is run by computer nowadays. Your cars, your iPads. It's insane how they're even Intel is having supply chain issues and stuff like that. They're having trouble getting the stuff to make things, to make the chips and everything else like that. It's not a good sign. I mean, even cars are coming hard, rental cars and stuff like that. Apparently, they're having a shortage on rental cars. I don't understand that one. But let me see. I had some notes on that. Let me look here. Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention used cars. Used car prices are on the rise, and that's absolutely true. There's people out there now that think their 1987, Chevy Citation or '83 Chevy Citation is now worth $2,000 when they're worth about $100. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that think their pickup truck is now somehow dipped in gold and worth $5,000 more than what they bought it for. This is no shit. But I guess it's affecting the rental car section things as well. Because of the price surge and the demand of people itching to go on vacation. Why? Because they have money now because the government's paying for them. We'll get into that a little bit later. Gas shortage. No shit. We already said there was going to be a gas shortage. The price of gas is already going through the freaking roof. I mean, it's just climbing astronomically, and it's never going to stop. And now they're talking about there's a very big possibility of a fuel shortage that's going to happen this summer. And it's not just because I disagree with some of the notes that I took. I mean, the demand for fuel and interest in travel has risen, obviously, because people do want to get out. I mean, they've been holed up. This is what, year 2 of the 2 weeks to flatten the curve. People want to get out and do things, and now that they actually are being UTVs, ATVs, motorcycles, and all that stuff, and just travel, getting a camper and taking off. We are seeing a direct draw to that. Well, we were energy independent, not under this president, but we were energy independent for the first time in decades. We had achieved energy independence. The price was dropping. The supply was outrunning the demand. We're going in reverse now. That's what a progressive thinks is a success, is when you're going backwards and you're becoming more and more dependent on government. That's what they're trying to do. I mean, the consumer price index just went astronomical. Let's see. I'm trying to think of how many. Well, let's go backwards a little bit. Okay, if I remember correctly, it was a third of all oil production in the U.S. was hosed when Diaper Joe jumped into office and decided he was going to go on the Stone Age Green New Deal type situation there. And of course, the extreme Texas freeze, the freak freeze that we had, and they weren't ready for it in Texas. It halted at least about, I would say, I can't remember, like a fifth of the country's oil refining capacity. It halted it dead in its tracks. And of course, due to oil, which a lot of these heads of cabbage are, saying, well, we need to do that. We need to stop. We need to be achieve energy independence through means of little whirly things and giant plates of glass in the middle of the desert. While they're saying that, they're doing that on a product that is made primarily of petroleum. Yeah. Those computer chips, even the plastic cases and everything else like that you do to save your precious little iPhone, that you hate because you think capitalism is the devil. It's made from plastic, which is also a derivative of petroleum oil and or palm oil. And one of the other ones I wrote down. Truckers and rideshare drivers, I get that. But truckers, especially, there's not enough truckers out there and everything else like that to get the goods going. And it goes the same for truckers as it does for the guys that work at, guys and gals that work at McDonald's or anything else like that. They're getting these government checks. They're making more to stay home on unemployment. So why the hell would they want to have a job? Right? So there's a shortage of workers because they're sucking the life out of the government. They don't realize that when they're sucking the life out of the government, they're actually sucking the life out of themselves and their children. But hey, you can't have that conversation because it's not fair. They shouldn't have to work. It's not fair. Big Daddy can take care of them. Oh, well, homes and vacation houses, yeah. We know that the prices of them have gone up. But a lot of them have gone up, especially new construction, because lumber is through the freaking roof. A couple years ago, holy shit. Sorry, Sean. I'm trying to bounce back and forth from screen to screen here. Why am I hating on the iPhone? Well, I hate on the iPhone because it's actually a piece of shit. I'm sorry, but the only thing you get when you buy an iPhone is the prestige of having the letter I in front of the word phone. It is actually inferior to Android and always will be in usability and everything else, and is quite considered to be the least reliable of the phone companies. So I'm sorry. It's a family and everybody else that uses an iPhone. I'm sorry, but the truth sometimes it does hurt. And yes, Sean, rare earth minerals from dozens of countries. Yeah, we're not importing that from certain countries, and it's getting uglier and uglier. But like I said, the price of lumber is absolutely astronomical, unbelievably astronomical. They're saying the National Association of Home Builders even says that soaring lumber prices have added $36,000 to the cost of a new home. That's $36,000 more than what the home before this started would have cost. Think about that. I've seen new construction costs firsthand, and this was right. I'm glad certain people, including my own family, managed to dodge that bullet, so to speak, and get their stuff and get it done before this really all started going downhill. But I got people now. I got a friend right now that he was talking about building his deck. His deck price for the same size deck just a couple months ago would have been just under $1,000 in materials. His deck that he built cost $5,000. Think about the markup on that. That is absolutely insane. And of course, this and we're talking about the economy here, and we're talking about how great it's supposed to be going, but it's showing absolutely the exact opposite. Things like how like toilet paper. Toilet paper is through the roof. The demand, stop hoarding that shit. People need it, but it doesn't matter because you can't hoard it now anyway because it costs so much to buy. And that has a lot to do with shipping the pulp and everything else like that from other countries to here. But that still has to do with the economy. Furniture is absolutely through the friggin' roof. We're having a chicken shortage. Unbelievable. What, Sean? Breaking 911 just in. CNN's Anderson Cooper sets the record for the lowest guest host ratings in the history of Jeopardy. Well, yeah, nobody wants to listen to Anderson Cooper. But let's go back to chicken shortage. It's bizarre that that's even happening. The shortage goes beyond like your wings and stuff like that. Oh my God, I can't believe this. I'm reading part of what I wrote down. Let me see here. Yeah. But it's due. I mean, it's due. What I wrote down is it's due mostly in part to increased demand and shortages caused by devastating winter storms in Texas. But that's not all, because there's a lot of chicken companies that are importing their chicken from other countries. I try to dodge those as much as possible and get my shit local, but the price of it has actually gone up, and there are even local farmers who say the demand for chicken is so high that they're having trouble keeping up. Oh, I forgot I wrote this one down. Bacon and hot dogs, man. Come on. Imported foods like cheese, coffee, and olive oil. Olive oil is already ridiculous, and yes, it is getting higher because it's what I usually choose to cook with. Coffee, I can pretty much say that for certainty too, because I drink that stuff constantly. And even trying to get the cheap store-bought stuff now is much higher than what it used to be. Chlorine shortage. Pool owners are gonna have a hard time getting their chlorine, and they said it's the worst chlorine shortage in U.S. history. Supplies of the chemical have been strained since a fire at the chlorine manufacturer Biolab in Louisiana in September. I remember that, but forgot about it and wrote it down. The price for chlorine used in pools has nearly doubled in the past year and is expected to rise even more to meet demand this summer. I don't see how it meets demand if you're just raising the prices and not producing any more. It's just going to make people who have money easier to get a hold of, and the guys who don't aren't going to be able to get it. Oh, corn, labor. We already talked about labor. We don't need to talk about corn. No, you're right, Sean. This isn't helping with currency devaluation. Apparently, they're starting to learn you can't just print money; that you have to have something behind it. Well, we're already seeing the cascading effect. He says it catches up and affects a great many items in the market. Some with a cascading effect. We're already seeing the cascading effect. And, how many times, Sean, have we talked about it on this show where we said if you screw with the energy, and I'm talking about even electrical energy or, our heat and gas or, electrical and gas and then fuel for vehicles and stuff like that, that we're all going to feel the pinch because it's going to get passed downhill. Them truckers are going to get their money. They're going to have to get their money somehow, to pay for that fuel. And when the cost rises up on their fuel, their company's like, okay, we'll pay for that. Well, now our goods are higher. And then when it gets to the store, then it's even higher because now the store has to keep their money up as well. So guess who gets screwed in the end? The consumer. This is not rocket science, but apparently they want it to be. What do we got? Right. This is damn shame on a downward movement with the labor participation. Name a single business that isn't hiring hiring sign on its door. I can agree with that, but see, the thing is once again, Biden thinks that's a win. He thinks that's the economy just coming back strong and boom and and that thing, the stuff. I need to talk like him so people may his people may understand this. It is not a win. We just mentioned it earlier, where the government's giving people so much money they don't need to work, so they're going to stay home and pick the lint off their scrotum. And meanwhile, there's businesses that are having openings that they can't fill, including one night, I shit you not, I left here, and the local Wendy's, which is normally open, I was like, I'm gonna get me a salad and take it home. Yes, I actually went to Wendy's for a salad. I don't want to be judged. Go fuck yourself. Well, I went there and I pulled up and the lights were off, and I'm like, wait, what? But there was cars in the drive-thru, so I thought maybe they're having problems with their lights. And I pulled up, and this young girl walks out and she goes, sorry, we're closed. I'm like, why? She's like, nobody's here to work. We can't keep up. And I looked at her and said, duly noted, understand. Not mad at you. And she looked at me and she goes, well, the guy in front of you was. He was being an ass because, he's like, well, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to get my food. And they went ahead and got his food, but that was the last person. They shut him down. I was the last one in the line. I felt bad for the girl because she looked like she was about to burst in tears at any moment. I don't blame her. There's people in the restaurant industry and several other, even like the grocery industry and stuff like that. They're struggling to keep people working, and then people are pissed because there's nothing on the shelves. Well, it's like you said, cascading effect, Sean. You don't have the goods because you can't get the good, because of demand, you can't get the goods there, and then you can't get people to stock the shelves, and then the people that go to get it can't get it, and then they're pissed off. See what I'm saying? It's starting to become a little bit more each day like Venezuela. But you can't say that because progressivism is the best thing that's ever happened to this country, and down with capitalism. We need to have that conversation too. We already have a couple of years back about taxes and the 1%, and how they're constantly saying the 1% needs to pay their fair share. Like, well, they pay for the majority of taxes in the country. So how much of their fair share is their fair share? And if they stop paying their fair share, if they stop paying, if they shut down their companies and stuff like that, who's going to pick up the slack? I'll tell you who. You're talking to one of them, and it's you as well. Capitalism gives you a level playing field. It gives you the chance to do what you want to do and make the money you want to make. Okay? The government does not. Communism and socialism does not give you that ability. The government doles out what they think you should be able to do. And then they get the majority of what you do. That is not leveling the playing field. That is not giving everybody the chance at opportunity. It's actually the opposite. I don't know why the disease and the progressivism. There's many parts to that you don't understand. That's not how this works. That capitalism actually is the fresh start. It gives you the chance to do what you want to do. Gives you the chance to make the money for yourself, as opposed for the government to make the money and give you a little Hershey's kiss, not the chocolate bar, not the whole chocolate bar, just a little kiss. This is not rocket science, people. It is not. Oh, Sean dropped a book on me. Hold on a minute. I got to read this. Oh, I like how you wrote that, Sean. Actually, I really do like how he says, but we aren't offering living wages and a full plate of benefits for every station. Sorry, there are a number of jobs which ain't glamorous but pay the bills. Leftists think this is a gateway drug for the universal basic income, perpetual unemployment for folks too scared to go outside since the Rona. Right. Nobody wants to start a business in Illinois right now. In fact, I felt like I shouldn't have started a business in Illinois in the first place because I'm one of the ones getting fucked over by the government. Well, at least the local government, the state government. How's that? I'm sorry, not the local, the state. You know, the state's really had really put in screws to me, and we won't get into that right now. But you're right. Not every job is glamorous, but and not every job needs a 5-year college degree in gender studies to do it. In fact, you know, they're talking about how people are, you know, $100,000 in debt for college and stuff like that. Well, when you take useless shit, that's going to happen. And guess what? You still have to pay it back. That was always mind-boggling to me. Well, we should get loan forgiveness for what? Because you chose the wrong thing in college. You decided to go to basket weaving 101 for 4 years, or gender studies, or the liberal arts and stuff like that, and then not be able to get a fucking job. And then because you screwed up, I should have to take my taxes and pay for your school. You didn't pay for mine. And by the way, most of mine went to trade school. That's right. I have actual skills. Hurts feelings, doesn't it? Usually does, I mean, at least. But no, Sean, I would not start a business in Illinois right now. In fact, I'm regretting doing that in the first place. Yeah, because you know, we double down on the progressivism here. We have the federal government that is now becoming so progressive. It's bleeding, and then you got Governor Gravy Sweats, the king of California here, and that decides that, well, if the federal government can get in here and do this party, I'm gonna double down on it and make it 3,000 times worse. You know, double to 3,000. I know I fucked up there, but 3,000 times worse because it's my goal, you know, and it makes me feel good. That's basically what we're stuck with. And meanwhile, who is getting punished with it? That would be us. And I don't think Matt's coming back. Just thinking right now, I don't think Matt's coming back because he's not here. If he's listening, if he doesn't come back, I'm going to rub my nuts all over his pipe. I'm going to dip it right in the bowl. Teabag. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to find something to play for break here. Yeah, I didn't have any plan for a break, so I'm kind of just looking. I feel it. All right, be right back.
I'm just a phony
Are you searching for a unique gift? Something personalized for that special someone? Well, look no further. Skyscraper Vinyl offers a wide variety of custom-made products, sure to please even the most difficult person to buy a gift for. Skyscraper has anything from custom-etched glass products, vinyl decals, t-shirts, wood-based products, and even metal art. You can reach Skyscraper by phone at 217-827-7703 or visit them on Facebook at facebook.com/skyscrapervinyl. For handmade high-quality product, choose Skyscraper Vinyl. Hewitttville proud.
What you listening to?
The Machine Radio Show.
What did you say? I didn't stutter. I said
The Machine Radio Show.
You just blew my mind.
You're welcome.
Enjoy the show. All right, and I am back and still no Matt, and I texted him and he has not responded. I'm starting to kind of worry a little bit. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Here. But anyhow, let's keep moving along. Now, who didn't see this coming? Come on. You know you did. Biden's DOJ is now getting involved with the Arizona election audit. You didn't think that they were going to start meddling with it because, they don't want people to know that they were doing bad things. The Biden administration on Wednesday expressed concerns about ballot security and voter intimidation as the Arizona State Senate authorizes a private audit of the 2020 election in Maricopa County. Well, probably because the federal audit, we know who controls the federal audit. So, yeah, we would probably want somebody on the outside to take a look at this. In a letter to Republicans, Republican State Senator Karen Fann, the Justice Department raised two issues of potential noncompliance with federal laws related to the audit. The first issue relates to a number of reports suggesting that the ballots, election systems, and election materials that are subject of the Maricopa County audit are no longer under the ultimate control of the state and local elections officials. Are not being adequately safeguarded by contractors at an insecure facility and are at risk of being lost, stolen, altered, compromised, or destroyed. Well, that kind of already happened, hence the reason for the audit. Just to remind you, this is why we're here in the first place. Carlin also said that the methods used by the group running the audit, Cyber Ninjas, raised concerns about potential intimidation of voters. That's already been done too. Or don't you remember? Man, just don't like it when the shoe's on the other foot, especially when they're trying to expose what you've done. A statement of work released by Cyber Ninjas said the firm has been working to identify voter registrations that did not make sense and then knock on doors to confirm if valid voters actually lived in the state. And that's why the heads of cabbage in the Democratic Party are like, well, that's voter intimidation. No, that's actually securing the election. I know that's a problem because they're going to get caught. They're going to get caught using empty parking lots and dead people to vote, or just making up fictitious names and throwing them on a ballot. They've noticed that too. Carlin said the statement of work also indicates that Cyber Ninjas will select at least 3 precincts in Maricopa County with a high number of anomalies in order to conduct an audit of voting history. Voters may be contacted through a combination of phone calls and physical canvassing to collect information of whether the individual voted in the election in November 2020. We would appreciate response to the concerns described herein, including advising us of the steps that the Arizona State Senate will take to ensure the violations of federal law do not occur. They have already occurred. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to say that. This is the reason for the audit. Right. DOJ can't do anything. This thing is fully funded and secure. Right. Sean, I keep saying it over and over and over again so that, people may understand. They just don't want to get caught. That is the whole issue. They don't want to get caught. And here we are. Excuse me. In 2016, former President Donald Trump won Maricopa County, which encompasses Phoenix and the metropolitan area, over Democrat Hillary Clinton by approximately 44,500 votes, or 2.8% of the vote. In 2020, President Joe Biden won the county by 40,100 votes, or 2.2% of the vote. Despite Biden's victory, Republicans carried every countywide office in Maricopa, minus the sheriff, which was held by the incumbent Democrat, including flipping the county recorder and winning the open treasury seat, which is why we have questions. Biden won Arizona overall by 10,457 votes, or 0.3%, the closest margin of any of the swing states that went for him. Despite numerous allegations of voting irregularities, no court has ruled that fraud affected the result of the 2020 election. Well, there's a reason for that, because most courts weren't allowed to hear the information in order to make an actual decision on it. Just look at the numbers and look at how things panned out. And I mean, look at, like 3 o'clock in the morning when all of a sudden he went from being well behind in most places to suddenly being super far ahead, and mysteriously 100% of the vote went to Democrat, and not one single vote went to a Republican. This is not rocket science, like I said earlier about some other things, but hey, we're just complaining because we didn't win, right? Oh, I gotta sneeze. Oh, there went the last tooth. Oh, shit. Hold on. Something's triggering my allergies in this room. It's probably the bullshit from the other side here. Lovely. Okay. Aha. Found one. Excuse me a moment. Got a snot. Right. Sean brings up another point that I hadn't quite gotten to, but I love the fact that he sometimes kind of reads my mind. He says, who made the call to simultaneously stop the vote in 7 key battleground states? I wonder who that was. We can get into that if you wish. Yes, I see you, and I'm responding. Hold on. Okay, yeah, sorry, I'm sending information to somebody that needed it. Let's go back to where shit. I accidentally closed out what I needed. Lovely, good job. Sometimes things happen. But, Sean's absolutely right about that. And of course, the They're fact checkers, and I'm saying they're fact checkers because they're predominantly liberal fact checkers. Said that didn't happen. Now that they didn't stop those votes because Trump was looking to be a landslide victory. They didn't do that. I mean, the evidence proves otherwise. We have tons of it, tons of evidence on that. But they say it didn't happen. It kind of did, though, and I'd appreciate if you'd stop treating the people of this country like they're too stupid to understand information when they see it put in front of them. Doo-doo-doo. I cannot find anything. Yep, I lost my mind. Screw it. I'm just going to play this song just to get a break so I can retriangulate and get everything set up. Since apparently I'm going to be on my own for the rest of the show because I'm not getting any response. I'll be right back.
She's just a lonely girl. The thing seems real. No lies in my eyes. Destroy that I have. Whoa, follow me. Show you how to feel. Show you how to die and live. I really should be. Whoa, follow me. Show you how to feel. Show you how to die and live. I really should be. She's just a lonely girl. Walls of her mind. I'll go with you divine. Shining in the light. Whoa, follow me. Tell me who you want to be. I will show you truth in life. I really should be. Whoa, follow me. Tell me who you want to be. I will show you truth in life. I really should be. She's just a lonely girl. She's just a lonely girl. Yeah. Follow me. Show you how to feel. Show you how to die and live. I really should be. Whoa, follow me. Tell me who you want to be. I will show you truth in life. I really should be.
What you listening to?
The Machine Radio Show.
What did you say? I didn't stutter. I said.
The Machine Radio Show.
You just blew my mind.
You're welcome.
Enjoy the show.
All right, I am back. And there's so many reasons why I like the Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and he's just giving me more and more. He is now giving all of the state's first responders a $1,000 bonus, and he says that we're funding the police and then some. Fantastic. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has announced that first responders across the state will receive a one-time $1,000 bonus. At the time of this reporting, there are approximately 174,000 first responders across the entire state of Florida, including police officers, paramedics, EMTs, firefighters, and more. In a news release from the governor's office, DeSantis said, supporting our law enforcement and first responders has been a top priority for my administration, and it has never been more important than over the last year. As a state, we are grateful for their continued service and to our communities. This one-time bonus is a small token of appreciation, but we can never go far enough to express our gratitude for their selflessness. Absolutely. Florida Chief Financial Officer and State Fire Marshal Jimmy Petronas lauded the governor's generous gesture and said that the state's first responders have performed with honor and distinction during the pandemic. When the coronavirus came to Florida, our first responders worked overtime to protect our communities and get people the care they so desperately needed. I say all the time that these men and women work 24/7, 365 days a year to protect our communities, and they performed with honor and distinction during the global pandemic. The bonus checks that Governor DeSantis proposed and secured from the legislature means a lot to these first responders and their families who have had to live through this crisis. With his hard work, the governor has made it very clear that Florida loves and appreciates our first responders. Excuse me. In a Wednesday tweet from Governor DeSantis, he wrote, "Some wanted to defund the police in Florida. We're funding them and then some by providing all of their heroes $1,000 bonuses. Represents more than 174,000, like we said." I think it's a fantastic thing. I'm going to be honest with you, because they do deserve the appreciation that they're not getting anymore, courtesy of the Feelings Brigade and the defunded police. And by the way, the most crime-ridden city in the United States right now, which actually surpassed Chicago. I'm impressed because it's really hard to surpass that shithole. Is St. Louis, and St. Louis has now basically voted to defund police at a time when the city is a shooting gallery. Good call. I hope the social workers wear bulletproof vests, you jackass. But things down in Florida have been going really well, exceedingly well, and like I said, the more he comes out and does things, the better. The more I like him. I think he would make a hell of a president, to be honest with you. Maybe we can get him to run for office. I mean, he definitely would pretty much destroy anybody and everybody that the Democrats have. But speaking of coming out and stuff like that, I am not going to refer to this person as Caitlyn. I'm going to refer to them as Bruce because they're still Bruce. They just have tits. But, well, fuck it. I'll be nice. Okay, I'll be nice. I promise. Over Caitlyn Jenner. Apparently, Caitlyn Jenner is now becoming a Republican and is doing the absolute best to piss off the other side as much as humanly possible. It's actually kind of impressive. My hat's off to this person for doing what they're doing. First, they pissed him off about transgenders in sports, especially in high school. That it's an unfair advantage for a male to compete in a female sport. Something we've been talking about quite a bit for several years now, where it's gotten clinically insane. But this starts off as I guess after George Takei kicked them out of the community. Caitlyn Jenner decided to go completely balls to the wall. I see what you did there. Very smooth. The gubernatorial candidate, by the way, him is running for governor in California. I'm sorry, it's still a dude. I'm gonna say that. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. Yeah, I don't know hard feelings. But the gubernatorial candidate appeared on Hannity. Besides doubling down on supporting girl sports and explaining how much Gavin Newsom sucks at life, she decided to trigger leftists even more better than ever. Apparently, Jenner is pro-police and anti-riot, and in California. Seriously. Jenner says, I'm 100% behind our police force. Every place I go, if I'm driving and I see a cop, I'll give them a thumbs up. If they're sitting there, I'll pull up and say, thank you for your service. This citizen appreciates what you do. I'm 100% in 100% support of our police force. I would be very tough on writing, using as many forces as I have to stop to writing. Protect the citizens and the businesses of the community. I think it's extremely important. The National Guard, whatever, we need to keep peace. But it's all the white supremacists. It's the white supremacists. According to everybody, anything, the rise of white supremacy, and white supremacy is on the rise, and there's so many white supremacies. No, there's really not. Watching Jenner speak, this is where my former political consultant, let me see. No, that's not what I was going to get into. Hold on. Oh man, I lost my spot. Oh, I'm sorry, Josh. Sorry, Josh. I'll get back to that. STL have an emergency number for the Department of Rainbow, Snowflakes, and Unicorns. Yes, they probably do, and they probably have to because apparently they don't want police. Oh, shit. Sorry, Sean. Multiple screens here. Sean says, if you were a cop, that sounds like a step up to take a job there. Same thing with the states being their own socio-economic experiments. Clearly, they are going to have a better run state in Florida. Absolutely. And I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of police officers that probably have ditched their states to go down to Florida and be treated better and with respect. Because there's no such thing as respect for police anymore, because the Democrats make sure to make it look like they are all evil and out there just to kill darky. That seems to be the messages they want to portray, and it's absolutely not the truth. I don't know a single police officer in the United States, or basically on Earth, they go, it says, well, we have a quota to go shoot people, and it's usually just, people that are darker than we are. Including black officers. I mean, I got friends that are black officers, and they're like, no, we don't get that memo. So, there is that. But I mean, what do you guys think about this? I mean, I know it's a little unorthodox to have. More power to them, which is referring to Jenner of running as a candidate for governor, and pretty much even throwing a potato in the ring at this point would be better than having a jackass in California. But it makes me wonder, though. I mean, are they saying these things to get votes, or do they actually mean them? That has always been the question of anything that, anytime somebody runs for office, is do they actually mean them, or are they just saying it to get the votes? I guess only time will tell on that one. Mm-hmm. Nope. Yep. Nope, not that one. And since we're on the topic of feelings and everything else like that, we're just going to keep on rolling. And apparently the International Olympic Committee, what the fuck is a committee? Can somebody tell me? Because I screwed that one up. It's committee. International Olympic Committee bans Black Lives Matter apparel signs at Tokyo Games. Don't blame them at all. Because why would you want to have a terrorist organization holding their signs and wearing their apparel at your Olympics? Granted, Iran's still going to be represented too, so shit. Okay, never mind. I'll change my thoughts on that one, I guess. But in Lausanne, Switzerland, the International Olympic Committee, or IOC, upheld its established Rule 50 and said athlete protests and political messages will be banned from fields of play, metal podiums, and the opening and closing ceremonies of the Tokyo Games. The IOC further said the slogan "Black Lives Matter" could not be worn by athletes at Olympic venues. However, the committee decided the words peace, respect, and solidarity, inclusion, and equality can be worn on shirts. Well, you might want to make sure they don't have this thing on there too. The IOC said a survey is conducted on more than 3,500 athletes showed 70% felt that it was not appropriate to demonstrate or express their views on the field of play or at the official events, the Associated Press had reported. Disciplinary action will be meted out on a case-by-case basis after the offense has been evaluated by the IOC, the athletes' respected National Olympic Committee, and the International Federation. The U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee announced on December 10, 2020, that it wouldn't sanction athletes who raised a fist or took a knee on the podium at the Tokyo Games. Yeah. Wow. Damn it. Okay. USOPC said it agreed with the calls from American athletes that asked the committee to change the rules prohibiting inside the lines protests. Telemarketer, not answering. Anyhow, but regardless of the U.S. committee's opinion, Rule 50 applies to all the athletes, and they're absolutely true. Of course, it would be the U.S. committee to go by the way it feels and say otherwise. Excuse me. Rule 50 was what led to the U.S. Olympic medal sprinters Tommy Smith and John Carlos being kicked out of the 1968 Olympics for making black power salutes with gloved fists in the air on the podium. I don't blame them for doing that. I'm sorry, I don't. The IOC said the athletes in Tokyo may not display signs or wear armbands, make hand gestures or kneel or refuse to follow any of the protocol affiliated with the official ceremonies. Right, because this is a professional thing and not a socially justicey feely thingy-majigger. The IOC said athletes may express their political leanings during press conferences and interviews in the International Broadcasting Center of the media, but protests and demonstrations are banned. Well, see, they shouldn't be able to do that either because that's not what they're there for. They're there to represent their country in a sport, not be a socially justly person at that time. There is a time and a place for that. They are also permitted to express political opinions on traditional digital social media platforms. Yeah, they do that anyway. Look at the militant lesbian Rapinoe. I'm sorry, I don't like her. I don't care if that hurts feelings because she's a psychopath. Just saying. Athletes are encouraged to share their views during team meetings too. Well, that's perfectly fine. That's within the team meeting. There's a little bit more to that, but I mean, I think they're basically going the right way. I mean, the podium and stuff like that, and on the field of play is not a place to do that. Be professional. Represent your country because you got the opportunity to be the best in your field and represent your country. So do it so with grace. Okay? Yeah. And I'm fairly certain somebody's gonna be like, see, I told you, you guys show you're against the gays and lesbians. I'm like, no, I just don't like Rapinoe. I think she's a jackass. And she goes out of her way to promote her jackassery through her sexuality. And I'm sorry, I just think it's disgusting. Oh, it is as in her actions and her. She should just stick to kicking the ball. Yeah, sorry. Let me see. I thought I had something else for this. I could be wrong. What the hell? I mean, I've been kicking ass without you, but fuck, where the hell you been?
Better compete than never, right?
Oh, dude, I already went through everything.
Did you?
I'm dead serious. So let me bring you up to speed. Everything's done. What the hell happened?
I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay, I don't have your microphone on yet anyway.
All right.
There you go. Hey, we have a visitor.
Better late than never.
Yeah, better late than over. I mean.
Yeah, I know, right?
So now we got to find something else to talk about.
What about the people eating rotten meat?
Hold that thought. Do you have something on that?
I actually have an article.
You do have something.
Yes.
Okay. We'll take a break and.
Okay.
I wasn't prepared for this. You know what? I just feel it.
Hey lefties, liberals, and progressives. This is not a safe space. I repeat, this is not a safe space.
If you are one of those squishies who are easily offended, put on your safety pins, pussy hats, and leave this radio station. Or you can free yourself and get educated.
Well, hell yeah! I tried to twist him up, but he wouldn't have it. Hell no. This old boy's wild. We about to have to keep this one.
You are listening to the Machine Radio Show with your hosts, Brandon
and Matt.
Talking about a bunch of hobos with fingers in each other's pooper in a stranger's car with talk radio playing really loud. It's going to be a nice evening.
Okay, shit just got real weird. I think I'm going to need a safe space.
What the? Are those friends of yours, Matt?
Oh, hell no.
Are you sure?
Oh, shut your dumpster and start the show already.
Well, all right, pissy pants. Let's do everything you want to do.
Okay, are you on there?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. It's much nice.
Yes.
Okay, so speaking of the reason why I think the next generation is insane and all that, can you please lead off? This one's on you, bud.
So there's a new online trend going around. I don't even remember what the last one was. You know, you had the like eating a tablespoon of cinnamon, and there was like licking toilet seats or something.
Well, the cinnamon challenge was to see if you could do it without coughing.
Yeah.
What they don't tell you is that giant heaping spoon of cinnamon also causes a niacin kick.
Yeah. Which can kill you.
Yeah, it can. Well, it speeds up your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, what is filled with niacin? The little blue pill. That's one of the main ingredients in the boner pills. Yeah. Okay, so
so the new dangerous online trend running rampant through social media is people are eating rotten raw meat to get high. Yes, you've heard that correctly.
No, I'm sorry. Can you please, for the people, say that one more time?
People are literally eating rotten raw meat to get high.
You mean fucking Tide Pods weren't enough?
Yeah, right.
I mean, eating laundry detergent was not enough of a high, I guess. Okay, so we went from meth and heroin. Now we're going to rotten meat.
Rotten meat, yeah. So this trend is gaining traction on social media, and honestly, it's one of the grossest things I've seen because they show pictures of the meat because, like, I wouldn't exactly call it a diet, but what it is people are encouraged to let raw meat rot for several months to even a year before eating it. You know, like setting it out of the refrigerator and letting it just rot.
What the fuck? And you wonder why I worry about the next generation.
And supposedly when it's consumed, you get a euphoric high after eating it.
Yeah, it's called penicillin.
Some people have reported mind-altering effects from it. Others say they prefer the taste, which is often described as cheesy or more acidic than the average steak. And that's a gross, nasty picture right there.
Dude, as if I already don't feel like I'm going to constantly throw up because of the medicine that I'm on and stuff like that, and, you know, and the whole infection thing. I really want to fucking vomit right now, and I don't think I can do much in the way of doing that here in the studio. There's a reason for that, because our lovely friend, my partner in crime with the Weaponized Slaughter Productions, has this for a trash can. I'm sorry, Garth. If you're going to spew, don't spew into this.
Damn right.
Anyhow, go ahead.
But apparently this concept is not entirely new. I guess the trend has been lurking on Reddit since like 2017. There was an anti-vegan YouTuber that posted a video of himself eating meat that had been rotting for a year. There's also reports of a 2-year-old on Reddit asking how one might transition into eating rotten meat. How that works out, I don't know.
What? Did you say 2-year-old?
A 2-year-old.
A 2-year-old.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a 2-year-old Reddit post. So somebody had asked.
Okay, I thought you meant a 2-year-old asked if it, when
how to start this diet.
I was like, I didn't know a 2-year-old could speak that good, let alone. All right, go ahead.
Some people had either stumbled across this and actually started researching it, and actually were horrified by results. You can find pictures on Twitter. I wouldn't recommend it.
Oh, nothing like poisoning or death.
Yeah.
To eat rotten meat. That's
One guy literally wrote, he goes, I went down a rabbit hole today of people who leave meat out and eat it raw, and honestly, the pictures just constantly have me on the verge of vomiting. It might just be because food photography is hard, but damn, I'm not converted to the high meat movement. And like I said, some of these pictures are downright gross.
It's literally poison that they're eating.
Well, you run, I mean, some of that bacteria is going to give you the high, but you're running a dangerous game because you could run into Salmonella, E. coli. There's one called Shigella, which I actually don't know what that one is. I'd have to look that one up.
Not as common as like E. coli bacteria. I've heard of it, but I couldn't really tell you too much about it. So that you might have to look up.
Yeah. And those bacteria, the body it really can't break down, so it just sits there and reproduces.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of
kind of like rabies,
food poisoning. I mean, you're going to get food poisoning after this. Who is this guy? Vice. He was a Singapore-based consultant dietitian. He actually said that high meat has the potential to cause uncontrollable bowel movements.
Well, obviously.
Large intestinal damage, vomiting, dehydration, and even botulism.
Botulism was the other thing I was trying to think of.
Yeah. That one will kill you, too.
Yeah, pretty much all the above. Mm-hmm. And not only that, mentioning the fact that penicillin is actually derived from mold, certain type of mold.
Yep.
But you're still basically eating a rotten chunk of penicillin-ridden.
And if you've got mold allergy,
yeah,
that's going to kill you too.
I mean, think about it. when you get a loaf of bread, okay? I don't care if you just bought the loaf of bread and it's a big fucking loaf of bread and it's expensive stuff, and you look down, there's a little green dot on one piece. I know people that'll actually pick that little green dot off and go ahead and eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I'm like, nope, sorry, whole thing gone. Throw it out. Not gonna eat it. No, sir.
Nope, because them spores spread pretty quickly.
Yes.
And the piece may look good, but those spores are sitting on that bread somewhere, probably throughout the entire thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I have people just throw that one piece away and eat the rest. No, sir, not gonna happen. It's out of here. But rotten meat.
Yeah, I don't get it.
So from the people that bring you the choking challenge and eating fucking Tide Pods and what else? I mean, there's been so many stupid shit going off over the years.
I don't remember all. I can't remember.
I can't keep a list of them anymore either. But
yeah, like the Tide Pod one was the last one that I think was around, and now we got rotten raw meat. Eventually, they'll probably end up killing themselves off.
Yeah, this is definitely some natural selection type shit going on.
Yeah.
This is totally different than what I was thinking of earlier about about how kids are, that this generation, the next generation, are the most disrespectful and hate-filled, crazy cockroaches that have ever lived on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got people that go, well, my son is not. Like, you just don't see it. But, I'm not saying that, it's all of them. That's the stupidest thing. I hate when people say it. They're like, well, so you're saying the entire generation. It's like, nope, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot.
If you need any information on, or at least some evidence on why I'm saying that, just look at your television and look at the people that are protesting and or burning down businesses and buildings and wearing black and beating people that are walking by. This is what happens when you give everybody a trophy.
Mm-hmm. I think they're owed something.
Well, they're not taught accountability, and they're definitely not taught what the real world is.
Right.
They're coddled right up until the day of their graduation, and they get in the real world and find out that if they walk up to somebody and say something as stupid as they did in school, they're going to get flattened. That if they talk to a random passerby the way they do their parents, they're not going to get, oh, now, little Johnny. They're going to get the shit kicked out of them.
They literally get set up to fail.
Yeah.
What it comes down to.
Well, we talked about this before, where they don't teach them what they need to know anymore. One, they don't teach them real world scenarios. They don't teach them how to balance a checkbook or go grocery shopping, change a tire.
Yeah.
They literally don't do this stuff anymore. I'm talking about normal things that everybody should know, and they don't teach them that the world is very different from what their perspective of it is. I mean, you can think that everything's happy raise the sunshine and unicorn piss all you want, but you're going to find out it's exactly the opposite.
Somebody lied to you.
Yeah. And the first time you walk up and disrespect somebody, they're going to knock your ass out. You go up to an officer like they do, do their parents and teachers and everything else like that, and you're gonna eat pavement. You're gonna ride the lightning, and you're gonna get handcuffed, and you're gonna get thrown in jail.
Yep.
Because this is the real world. This is not the utopian society that you believe it should be. It's never going to be that way. And the sooner you understand that, the better off it'll actually be, and maybe you can change it a little bit to make it a little bit more tolerable. But going out of the gate like you do, ain't going to happen.
Yeah. That's a rude awakening.
Yeah, I actually fear for the next generation. I fear for kids, for like your son's age, stuff like that. Of course, he gets a better education than most.
Yeah, he's starting to learn that because he gets pretty involved in news.
Yeah,
I mean, he's learned pretty quick that the world is not kind.
Well, and he's learning about the proper things in life. He's learning, and especially learning about history and stuff like that. I mean, even stuff, we talked about this before, where we weren't taught some of the stuff that I've learned, because I went out of my way to learn it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I was like, they don't need to do an entire year on this, but they can do a chapter on it or something like that and understand, like I said, like the ancient Romans, like understanding the writings of Plutarch.
Yeah.
And like understanding what the apartheid is, stuff like that. Learning that stuff. They don't have to do a full like textbook section or something like that. Just a chapter. Let them know that this is what this is, and you should know something about it. It'll help you later on. And that's why when I say certain things on the show about what's going on, I'm thinking about stuff like that. I'm thinking about history. I'm thinking about, everything, like things from the ancient Romans on up to, the Dark Ages, stuff like like that. I'm just throwing stuff out there. Iron Age, like the way things have progressed and the things that have been done wrong over the last few years, the last fucking century actually. And I try to take that into account and be like, no, that's the reason why I support our document, the Constitution, And that's the reason why I support teaching history and everything else like that. And that's why I support anything that, a lot of things that have to do with the Founding Fathers, because people need to understand we are in probably the greatest place on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And we learned from history, and they combined all this different history, and they put it together in this document. And furthermore, they made it so intelligently that the document can change history and has changed history, and it has helped history. People don't. That's why I'm worried. I'm literally worried about how these kids are taught.
Yeah.
Because I think they're being taught wrong. And somebody's like, well, they said, well, you know enough, and stuff like that. Why don't you should teach history and stuff like that? I can't. Because the first time I start teaching real history, they're going to fire my ass. We've seen it happen.
Uh-huh.
How many times we talked about history teachers and stuff like that in junior highs and high schools and even in college, professors that have been fired because they were teaching real history and not what they were told to teach as history.
Right.
And they didn't manipulate history to make it feel, a certain way for a certain group.
Mm-hmm.
And they're fired for it. So I was like, I'd love to, but it's not going to happen. It would never happen because they wouldn't allow it. And besides, could you imagine me, especially in like a high school setting, could you imagine me being a teacher, especially a history teacher? Because the first time one of them checked their phone and stuff like that, I was like, "Listen here, fucker."
Knife hand.
Yeah, I'd be like, "Give me your phone." Listen here, fucker. Give me your phone. That's what would happen. I mean, I'd lose it. And then when I'm trying to challenge people, well, that's not what our previous teacher said. I was like, well, your previous teacher was a bitch. Your previous teacher didn't know history. That's why they taught you that. Kind of like the guy that was on on the news station I was talking about. He's like, well, I was 2 steps away. I'm not going to get my doctorate, but I was 2 steps away from doctorate in history. I'm like, yeah, I might want to get your money back because you didn't even know how the Founding Fathers actually acted. Because he's like, well, he was one of those ones. Well, they were all slave owners. I'm like, huh. But can you tell me real quick, what did they do? What did they write, and how did they react towards slavery and everything like that? Because they all thought it was repugnant.
Mm-hmm.
But they knew at the time that you couldn't just stop it and quit cold turkey, unfortunately, and they really wish they could have. In fact, I don't remember any slave owners from the South, not the Founding Fathers, slave owners from the South, that treated their slaves so well that the slaves, even after their death, stayed. Even after the president or Founding Father's death, had stayed, and was even buried by them. And it's like was it Stockholm syndrome?
Yeah.
And like, no, because they went once they were freed, they even said after the Revolutionary War, you're free now, you can go. They said, no, I would like to stay here with you because, well, why? Because they got educated. They had a safe home, and this was a new place. It was, there's still a lot to do. There wasn't much in the way of frontier. They didn't know where to go or what to do. They're like, well, yeah, Stockholm syndrome. I'm like, no,
that's not
they were free.
Is.
Yeah, I was like, would you mind letting me help you with that? But again, saying all that and everything else like that, and I know I keep going to history, but history teaches us a lot. It's well, don't dwell on the past. I'm like, actually, you should. Maybe not on your own past, but but on the past of the collective, I guess, because it shows us how to move on. It teaches us, what not to do.
Right.
And unfortunately, now since people aren't doing that, we are repeating a lot of shit.
That's no joke.
And it scares the shit out of me. It really does. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
The only thing I was going to say is, I know you said it scared the shit out of you, and it makes you literally wonder what's going to happen in maybe the next 5 years or 10 years or maybe even 20 years down the road.
Yeah.
It is. It's a scary thought.
Yeah. Well, and Well, along those lines, I said to somebody, I said, you know what I'm really afraid of? What happens after I'm gone?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what would you care? You're gone. I'm like, I know. I say that all the time. I was like, when me and my wife had a conversation about life insurance, told her there was, at the time there was $67 in my account. She's like, what's that for? I said, shove on the bag of lime. What the fuck am I going to care? I'm dead. I was like, drive down the road and have somebody kick me out the back of the tailgate. I don't care. I was like, but I'm worried about the legacy of our children. I'm not worried about, physically, or what people remember of me. I hate that. People want to keep saying that. Like, well, you're just thinking about yourself. Absolutely not. After 10 fucking years, you guys can't figure out that I don't care about myself. I care about what happens around me and what happens to you. So I'm worried about the next generation. I'm worried about what happens when I'm gone. Would I like to have a legacy, and pass it along? Yeah, everybody would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But am I so ingrained into it that, that's my all-consuming reason of being alive? Absolutely not. I always said one thing though. What was it? It's like, love me or hate me, you're going to remember me. And that, and that's my point. But I don't necessarily want you to remember me. I want you to remember what I said. I want you to remember what I've tried to teach you, or what I've tried to open your eyes to. I don't care if you remember my name. That's why 9 times out of 10, we say our names at the beginning of the show, right. but that's it. On the website or anything else like that, or when we share and everything else like that, I always refer to it as the machine. I do not refer to it as Brandon. I do not refer to it as Matt.
Mm-hmm.
I refer to it as the machine.
The machine, yep.
There's a reason for that. I don't give a fuck if you know my name. I want you to remember the show. I want you to listen to the show because I want you to have a good time and I want you to get educated while doing it. It has nothing to do with anything other than that. And actually, that's what you missed at the beginning of the show. I went on a tirade about YouTubers and Redditors and stuff like that are, they get too big for the britches. They get these 17,000 views or 18,000 views or 20, 30,000, 1 million subscribers, something like that. And they're like, well, you're lesser than me, so I don't need to talk to you. To shows like us and stuff like that. I was like, well, I watch people bloom. I'm fans of some of them. I watch them and stuff like that. I was like, well, here's the thing. We've had thousands of listeners from across the globe for years. We may only have, we don't really push the subscriptions on YouTube and stuff like that. We're starting to now because of the political climate, because of how everything's being edited.
Right.
So we're pushing our way into other things and want you to like and subscribe and do that. But yes, but we're not doing that because we need those likes and subscribes. We want you to be able to still be able to see the show. But these people are like, well, I've got more listeners than you, so therefore, I don't ever want to be on a program like yours because you're lower than me. You're just trying to siphon my numbers. Like, no, that's absolutely not true. With the way I see it, and I do see it this way, and I have, and Matt can attest to this because he feels the same way. It's called cross promotion. We want people to we want people to see you. You might come on our show, but we want people to focus on you, on what you're saying. You're our guest because we're all in this together. We need to be together. It doesn't matter if you're got 5 million, 20 million subscribers, or if you got 10. If you're fighting the good fight and you're getting the word out there and everything else like that, you're not trying to siphon off of somebody else. You're trying to you're trying to collectively get together. There are a few that do that. There are a few that are like, well, I'm going to get on this show or I'm going to talk to this person because I know I can get their numbers. And I understand that does happen, but for the majority of it, it's just people just saying, hey, we're in the fight together, let's stick together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I feel about it. And what I said earlier about that is like, I don't care if somehow a miracle happens and next week we're on XM radio, and we got millions of listeners. If the guy next door said, well, I started my podcast, it's only 6 months, a year old, and I've got about 100, about 50 subscribers or 50 listeners or whatever else like that, would you be on my show? Sure. Why? Because I was that guy at one point.
And that's the big thing is they forgot where they came from.
Right, and it, and they get their niche, and then they run with it. I'm not saying that we don't have one. We do. We absolutely do. We have what we do our things in a certain way because that's how we feel comfortable doing it. I guess that'd be our niche.
Yeah.
But we don't see the problem is a lot of people actually. I've had several people say, "Well, you're not like this in real life." I'm like, no, absolutely not. This is a persona. I don't act or talk like this at all. I was lying. Actually, I do. I really do. I talk like this and act like this. Or as I put it before, I'm the nicest asshole you'll ever meet. And Matt's the same way. In fact, that's how me and Matt met. I was literally the nicest asshole he had ever met. And I got a lot of people that do say that to me. They're like, first, we thought you were just an absolute prick. Now we find out you're like you're the biggest teddy bear that there ever was. You just have a foul mouth. Like, well, yeah, I tried to tell you. I mean, yes, I'm wildly sarcastic. Listen to death metal, but I'm just I have fun with life, and I have my own way of doing it.
It's kind of laughing because working security at some of the colleges, that was kind of how I was described as, is like that security guard there. He's an asshole, but he's a cool asshole.
Yep, and I've had local teens actually say that from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're in their 20s now, and I've had them say that. We're like, don't cross him. He is definitely an asshole, but he's a nice asshole. And I'm like, that's where I started saying that from. It's because I'm like, I never thought of it that way. Thank you, I guess. But this is not a persona. This really is who we are. This really is who we are, and it's definitely who I am. But at the same time, you guys don't see. We're going to start doing. We keep saying we're going to start doing things. We're going to start doing more Patreon content and stuff like that. In fact, I got a video that is already lined up that we got to talk about when the show ends, which is very shortly because we're 2 minutes and 10 seconds in. 2 minutes and 10 seconds. 2 hours and 10 seconds. Holy, 2 hours and 10 minutes, motherfucker! See, we gotta end the show. But I'll tell you just a very little tidbit about it because we don't want to really let the cat out of the bag. But we had ideas about doing almost a documentary on us and how we got started. And I'll tell you about the title, and the title is "Beautiful Losers: The Story of Weaponized Sloth." And we're just gonna walk you through things, and you're gonna see things that you would never in your life ever see from us because it's not on the show. In fact, I accidentally let the cat out of the bag a little bit with some of the YouTube videos that I produced of us out on the four-wheelers. Because that's a different side, that's a different thing of what we do. But there's a lot of things that we do on the outside that nobody knows about that you're like, well, we want to incorporate all that, and we want to talk about how we got started with the radio and everything else like that, and how it's progressed, and our daily lives. We want to share our daily lives with you and show you who we really are. Which, for the most part, you're seeing right now. I'm an asshole, but but I seriously, this is something we've been thinking about. So keep on the lookout for that. But I think we should end the show, and you and I gotta talk before we roll out. So
all right.
So that being said, thanks for joining us, Matt, for the last 10 minutes of the show. I kind of did a Walt Disney and froze, did like Garth and went, but I really didn't. But he does that. But that being said, we will be back next week, hopefully with more updates on my health that are positive at least, and we'll see you later.
Yeah, see you guys next Thursday.
We're out.